There we go. So welcome. This is a little sneak peek into the Priestess Path. I'm Emily from Wise Woman Witchery. Let me just start there for anyone who might not know me yet, or maybe not have seen my face, but maybe gotten my emails. So my name is Emily. I am the owner and operator of Wise Woman Witchery, which is my passion project. I am also a somatic psychotherapist, so that's my other job. And I do bring some of that to the work that I do because I definitely see us as whole beings, and our body and mind connection is really important, and also at the core of so much of the magic that I create and that I like to share with all of you. So I see some people are saying good morning. I'll put my chat up over here. Good morning, Kim. So the reason that I wanted to do this is because before signing up for something that you are basically committing to yourself for a year to really deepen into your magical practice, and before committing to that, it can be great to have a sneak peek to see kind of what's going on inside, behind that closed door. And so today we're going to just spend a little bit of time together, about 30 minutes or so, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the class, and then also share a little bit about what you might find, well, what you will find in the first section of the Priestess Path. So one of the things to note is that this is made up of 12 lessons, and the one we're going to be exploring today is the first lesson, which is all about grounding and clearing. That is a foundational practice, and some of the feedback that I've gotten from that in the past is people saying, oh, I already do this all the time, so what is new here? And what's true is that even when we do things all the time, there are new ways to approach those older practices. And that not only would I be teaching you some new things, hopefully new things, but getting to experience them in a group also gives you a different experience. When I sit in circle and I am practicing a grounding technique, it feels really different to me than it does when I'm sitting at home by myself doing it. So just to remember that a big part of the Priestess Path experience is that time that we have together and getting to co-create and be present in ritual space together. There's a lot that comes from being witnessed and held in that. So a big thing for me around starting off with these very basic practices, foundational basic practices, is also that we are forming a community during this time. So it helps to go in a little more simply with what we are learning so that we have more space to begin to develop those relationships with the people you will be circling with during these 13 moons. So the 4 parts of the Priestess Path are foundational practices, of which grounding and clearing is the first one. Inner realms work, which is diving into things like shadow work, sacred sensuality, your relationship with the Maiden, Mother, and Crone archetypes. And then we move into tools. So this is the stuff where people are like, that's the thing I want, right? I want the divination practices. I want to know how to cast spells. I want to know how to connect with my guides. And we do that, but we layer all of this information on top of each other. So we start with that foundational practice of grounding and clearing and build on that to learn how to create rituals, working with elements, and then do some of that inner work so that we can get more connected to ourselves, so that as we're using those tools, we actually are able to transmit that energy through us more powerfully because we're more connected in relationship with ourselves. All of this culminates in part 4, which is initiation. Now, I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to send you through initiation and you are a priestess. I think you're already a priestess. And basically the initiation is a celebration and a claiming of, yes, I claim this part of myself. I just spent these last 13 moons working through all of this content and experience. And now I want to celebrate that and acknowledge that. So that's really what that initiation is about. It's not me handing you the keys to your priestess self. You've got her there already. So I just want to be clear about that. So the way that we learn during this time together is that we do have curriculum, and some of you may have seen me share this book. So this is really the content, the curriculum content. There's 194 pages here of content. for you to peruse. Now, this is all digital and it's all in the class site for you. And each lesson I drop the new section. So you have access to each of those as we go along. You can also order this if you're more of a hard copy person. I like to write, I like to have something in hard copy and I like to write on it. So that's why I had these created. But you have access to all of that information, that curriculum, to work through at your own pace as we go along. And then we meet twice a month, usually the first and third Saturdays of the month, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's usually an hour and a half, but I tell people plan for 2 hours so you have a little bit of space and time in case A, we go over, which sometimes we do because we can get chatty, or B, because sometimes you need that space carved out so that you can take some time to journal, take some time to try out these practices that maybe in the rest of your life you're not having as much room for. So I invite you to set aside 2 hours twice a month to be with me, but then also to take some time for yourself. I'm just going to let someone else in here. So that's how we learn. We have the curriculum that's a hard copy or digital, but written word. And that is full of rituals, exercises, journal prompts, so that each topic you're going experientially into it. And you will find that I am very experiential. I will tell you things. This is what we can do. But more than that, I want you to feel things. I want you to have the experience, because the experience is really how you learn. It's how you embody this part of yourself. The third piece of how we learn is community. So that is a huge part of this for me. It is a big inspiration of what made me create this, is that I was in a women's circle for almost 19 years. And being able to be in a circle of like-minded people who have one common goal, which essentially in my circle was all about creating ritual and coming together to really facilitate and grow our magic and support each other in our own growth and process. I wanted to bring that to everyone here. So that is a piece of this. There is a community. The people that you are circling with for these 13 moons, those are people that you build relationships with. Some of them you may stay in contact with afterwards. Some you might not. I know one of my last cohorts actually created a coven after we ended, and they meet once a month and practice the things that we learned and also practice new things that they're learning. So the community, we learn from each other, we support each other, we hold that container for each other. And that's the third part of the learning in all of this. So let's talk about the foundation of grounding and clearing. And I'm just going to go through a few grounding practices here, a few clearing practices to talk you through them. Then we'll do an exercise. And then I'll open up the floor for questions. So feel free as we're going along, if questions pop up, you can type them in the chat. I will also open the floor to have you unmute and ask questions as we get to the end of our time together. So clearing, this is the most foundational of practices. If we think about the world, energy is everywhere, right? It's in the trees, it's in the rocks, it's in the growing things, it's in the animals, it's in each other. I happen to believe it's even in what people might call inanimate objects, because I think everything has an energy signature. As we move through the world, we pick up those energies. Sometimes they're things we intentionally pick up, where we're like, oh, I'm tuning into that. That's feeling good. Sometimes there are things that we unintentionally pick up, like, when you walk into a room and somebody just was really angry and you can feel the residual of that, and sometimes it sinks in. So we might pick that up and carry it with us, even if it's not ours and we didn't want it. We just inadvertently do, especially if you're an empath, you're sensitive. So we pick up energy in that way. We pick up energy because we want to, and then we pick up energy because people put it on us. And you might be able to think of a way that somebody did that right now, a way that maybe somebody put a responsibility on you, or tried to give you a guilt trip, or got angry or snippy with you, and it left sort of a, ugh. These are other ways that we pick up energy. Clearing is a way to clear that away to come back to our own energy. So our energy is not getting all mixed up with other people's. We can come back to what's really, truly happening for ourselves. And as you practice clearing more and more, and grounding as well, it becomes more and more clear what is yours. Because so often, especially when you're an empath, which I'm finding many, many people on this path are, you pick stuff up and sometimes it's like, God, why am I so cranky today? Wait, that's not mine. That was not mine. I just picked it up and carried it along. Or if you're feeling really affected from your work, whatever work that you do, you might need to figure out how to clear that so that as you step back into your home life, you can let that go. So clearing it is a really important foundational practice, and one that you might find yourself doing more than just before you're getting ready to do magic, but just to get through your day in a more clear, coherent, focused way, feel good kind of way. It also can help bring you more into presence. So you're not thinking about this thing somebody said or that thing somebody did or the thing you have to go do in a minute, because it just brings you back to you. So a few simple clearing practices. And if you've been in ritual with me, then you have probably experienced one or some of these. But using your breath, our breath is the best tool. It is here for us all the time. We always have access to it. We don't need anything fancy or special. We just come back to our bodies. So even if you join me right now just for a moment in closing your eyes and taking a big breath and letting it go with a sigh, exhaling all the way out, all the way out. Let's do that one more time. Letting it go. This is one way to clear your energy in any moment. You can even imagine that as you exhale, especially if you're using sound, as you exhale, you're releasing anything that is not yours, anything that does not belong to you. So this is an excellent practice and one that you can incorporate anytime, simply and easily. Another way that you can bring clearing in very easily. So I'm all about using what you have, and I'm very much about using your body because it is the tool that is most accessible to us and often the most powerful. So another way that you can clear is by using your body to give yourself a brushing bath. Just using your hands, clear it off, let it go. Whatever there is that does not belong to you, slough it off. And if you're thinking, well, how does that work? Why? Like, does that even work? Yes, it works. Take your hands right now and rub them over your body and feel that brushing motion, and imagine that you are releasing everything that does not belong to you and you are giving it back to the earth. That is not mine. Take it back, take it back. So the act of brushing can be really helpful. You can also use smoke. So if we're going to talk about using tools, you can use smoke to clear your energy. And I don't, yes, I do. So I have some Palo Santo here. I have some type of sage here. And I even have bay leaves here. And I have different kinds of incense I like to use. But you can use the smoke from that and imagine it as a smoke bath, clearing you, moving over you, carrying with it as it moves out into the air and dissipating, carrying with it all of that energy that is not yours. So that's another really simple way you can do that. And it doesn't have to be a specific herb. Like, you don't have to use white sage. You don't have to use Palo Santo. Use the thing that calls to you. You could even use resin incense if you wanted and just use the smoke from that. It's totally up to you what calls to you. Another tool that you might choose to use would be a hydrosol, or like rose water, Florida water, a scent that you really like that comes in a spray form. You can use that and imagine that dripping over you and imagine it washing away that which is not yours. And then the final one I'll just mention here today is taking a shower or a bath. I used to work with somebody who I worked at a group home, and he would talk about how he would come home from work, and the first thing that he would do is he would wave to his wife, walk straight to the shower and take a shower, and imagine everything from the day washing down the drain, everything that was his work self, all of it just washing down the drain, so that when he came out, he could come out fully present and not be carrying any of that stuff with him. And I just love that image, and taking that time in the shower or bath to imagine I'm just sloughing it all off. The water's holding it and it's taking it away. These are just simple practices that you can do to help you clear your own energy. So let's see. Grounding. Grounding is really reconnecting to your body. It's also reconnecting to the earth and the sky. You might find connection in earth and sky, which is great. It's all there for you. But it all ideally helps you come back to your body in this present time and space. So as we walk away from clearing for this moment, we step into grounding, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some grounding practices. Some very simple grounding practices do come back to your body. So things like tapping. You could tap starting at your head or wherever feels right for you. And if you notice as you tap, there's this energy that sort of tingles up to the surface. Sandra, it's funny when my husband comes home most days, he says, I'm going to the shower to shower the workday off. Yeah, it's great. It's a great way to do it. And Andrea says she feels tingling all over when you brushed yourself. Yeah. So just a way to clear. So if we come into grounding and we're tapping our bodies, really what this exercise does is it awakens our awareness of our physical being. So many of us spend so much of our day in our head, especially if you have a heady job, or you're trying to manage a household. There's a lot going on around, oh, I've got to do this and this and this, and trying to keep your thoughts organized, trying to forward think about what's coming next. And when we do that, we get out of this present moment. We often leave our bodies. We're not fully present in our bodily experience. We're up here in our minds. So tapping our bodies brings a sensation to your body, which then makes you more aware of your body. And when you are more aware of your body, I'm still tapping myself because I like it. Just all, oh yeah, that feels well. There's my legs. When you're more aware of your body, then you're able to really come into the moment. You can also shake. So maybe you've seen this practice where people are shaking their bodies. I often stand up and sort of bounce up and down and find myself once again in space. What do my feet feel like as they're landing on the floor? What does it feel like when that vibration of shaking moves my skin against my bone? What is that? But then I become aware of all my edges. And when I become aware of my edges, I come back to right now, to my body in this moment. Stomping is another great way to ground, because even if we can start to feel our upper bodies, sometimes we miss our feet, our legs, and that's what's connected to the earth, right? Or our sits bones. So stomping, when you lift one foot and then the other and allow them to fall, that can also create a vibration that moves up through your body. Or maybe you rock side to side and find your sits bones beneath you and find that energy of that landing, that solidity. Laying down on the earth. This is another fabulous one. And it doesn't have to be outside. You can do it inside on your floor. When I really need to ground, I often lay on my belly and I'll, rest my hands here with my head on top of them, because there's something about that pressure on that front part of my body, the most vulnerable part of my body where all of those organs are, that really helps to create a sense of grounding. If you really wanted to go for it, you could lay down on the ground and put sandbags. If you have sandbags for, not for flooding, but for like yoga practice, you can put those on your body. You probably have seen the weighted blankets. That's been a big craze now. I've been using those for years in therapy, but they are now really easy to access. They have them at Target. Anyway, putting that weight on your body can really help settle your nervous system and bring you into a place of groundedness. You can also use our natural friends, trees. Trees are great allies in grounding. Just sitting beneath the base of a tree and leaning against it feels so good. Letting that tree support you, their energy can be really supportive and nurturing without having to it's not a funky energy exchange. It's a really lovely energy exchange, and they can hold whatever you need to give them. So those are some simple practices. Sandra, yes, sandbags in yoga. Definitely. So I'm going to lead us through a brief grounding meditation. This is just an example of some of the types of visualizations that we do during the Priestess Path. I do lean heavily on meditation and visualization and trance work, which I feel like all of those have a lot of overlap. So I lean heavily on that because when we're meeting via Zoom, when we're meeting across space and time in this continuum we hang out in, there is much more accessibility in our magical realms in that visualization, imaginal realm. We can really go places together there. We do other rituals where we do have actual tangible physical things and we incorporate those, but I do lead a lot of meditation trance work during this path. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead. This will just be a brief grounding. Go ahead and either get your feet on the floor, your hips beneath you, however you're being supported right now. Shutter your eyes down or soften your gaze, whichever feels most comfortable and secure for you. And we're going to begin here by just taking 3 deep breaths. So draw that breath into your body, filling your lungs, filling your belly, and then let it go. Two more big, deep breaths. Making sure as you exhale that you're releasing all the air from your lungs. Breathing in and letting down. And then allowing your breath just to move back into its natural rhythm, its natural cadence, whatever that is for you today. Begin to bring your awareness to all the places that your body is making contact with that which is supporting you. If you have your feet on the floor or being supported, you might press down into them for a moment. Just feel that solidity of your feet coming into contact. Feel your leg muscles turning on, and then relaxing them down. Feeling your sits bones beneath you, your hips heavy. Perhaps noticing your back against your chair and the places your body is coming into contact with itself. Breathing in and breathing out, just beginning with awareness here, awareness of support, awareness of contact. And as you continue to breathe, I'd like to invite you to give your breath a color. Noticing what this color feels like as you breathe it into your body and breathe it back out. And you might begin to imagine that as you breathe it in, it draws this color down deep into your body, into your torso. And as you exhale, it leaves behind a trail of color. So that each breath is painting this line of color inside of you. Take a couple rounds of breath here, playing with how far you can bring this color down. Does it reach your belly button? Can you invite it deeper into your pelvic bowl? Can you draw this breath, this color down even deeper to the tip of your tailbone? Each breath deepening that color within you. Each breath going a little further down. And on your next inhale, I'd like to invite you to bring that color down not only to the tip of your tailbone, but outside of your body, moving down from the base of your spine through the chair that supports you. Pausing as you exhale, and then on your inhale after that, pushing that color like a grounding cord, a taproot, down, down through the floor, through your foundation, and into the soil. And as you begin to breathe this taproot down into the earth, feel the sensation of being surrounded by dirt, passing by rocks and roots, the critters that live beneath the soil. Each inhale, bringing that taproot deeper. Each exhale, taking a pause to regroup, regenerate. Let that root, that beautiful, vibrant, colorful root, move down and down, deeper and deeper, down and down and down until you begin to reach that place, that warm center of the earth. And when you feel your root reaching into this space, pause here for a few rounds of breath and feel the heartbeat of the earth surrounding you. Surrounding this root, this grounding cord. Perhaps the beat of the earth, that heartbeat, mirrors your own heartbeat. And on your next inhale, begin to draw some of that earth energy up through this root you've sent down, changing the direction of the flow from down to up. Drinking that earth energy up and up as if this taproot were a straw. Perhaps that earth energy has a slightly different color or a completely different color. Allow it to move up and up. Feeling the shift in the energy of your taproot as you draw that earth vibration up past the roots and the rocks and the critters that call inside the earth their home, up and up through the floor, through your chair, up and up, back into your body, through the base of your spine. And as this earth energy begins to enter your being, continue to use your inhale to pull it up and allow your exhale to begin to expand. Expand that earth energy so that it mingles with your own. You might imagine a dance between the colors of your earth energy and the colors of your own energy as they move throughout you, mixing, letting your exhale spread that energy wide so that it's beginning to bump up against the inside of your skin. Moving through your arms, your hands, cascading down your legs, your ankles, into your feet. Filling your beautiful heart. Your throat, your face. Reaching clear up to the crown of your head. Feeling the reciprocal exchange of energy from you to the earth, from the earth to you, from you to the earth, from the earth to you. Taking just a couple more rounds of breath here, allowing yourself to land in this perfect alchemical mix of this moment. I thought I had muted everybody, but it looks like I missed someone. So if you're pulled out of that too quickly, just know that you can come back to it at any time. You now have that muscle memory, that visual memory, that experience in your body. And I invite you to do that. Come back as often as you can to that ground. This is just an example of some of the types of visualizations that we do during the Priestess Path. So what I'm going to do now, I recognize that it's now 10:36, so we're a few minutes over. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and open the floor for questions. So if you have any questions about the program, the floor is open to ask them. You can ask in the chat, or you feel free to unmute and ask. That's okay too.